Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we're going back to a deck I played a while ago when the Undermountain Adventurer first came to Magic Online. I sort of threw together a deck list where instead of using the fast mana of Chrome Mox, Mox Diamond, Lotus Petals, I went for a mana dork build to power out our initiative creatures alongside a natural order plan. So this is just an updated version of that because I had a few requests for it, and I decided I'd give it a go. So what this deck is trying to do is make 4-drops for the most part. So the idea is we make a turn 1 mana dork, and then we play a soul land on turn 2, which we have 8 of, and then we can play a Chaos Adventurer, or an Undermountain Adventurer, or a Natural Order, or a Minsc on turn 2. That's basically the plan. It's a pretty solid plan, but we've got some stuff to go around with it. So that's not always going to happen, so we've got some decent 3-drops in Fable the Mirror Breaker, which will also help get us to this point. We've got some Furies for removal. We've got a couple of Endurances, which are a little bit trickier to cast because of the green pips on them, but it's still possible to cast anyway. And we have some Green Sun Zenith. Before we had like one Green Sun Zenith. What we've done is we've trimmed on Birds of Paradise and gone up on Green Sun Zenith. So effectively we have 10 turn 1 mana ramps in the form of Green Sun Zenith and all these dorks, because the Green Sun Zenith can go and get us the Dryad Arbor. This also gives us the ability to have a bit of a package. So we've got an Outland Liberator and a Collector Ouphe to go alongside our mana dorks and endurance and Undermountain Adventurer type stuff. In terms of what we've got to snowball into with our natural order, we've got 1 Progenitus, 1 Atraxa. The build we played before had 2 Progenitus. I'm going to try an Atraxa and see how it feels. We've got sorceries, we've got creatures, we've got enchantments, we've got planeswalkers. So we've got a decent amount of things that can hit, and a 7/7 lifelink body is going to be useful. I've gone up 1 land compared to the previous one. We've got a Misty Rainforest in there, just with a little bit more ability to find some mana. Sideboard wise, we've got a few little changes here. So we've increased the number of Furies in the main deck, so we've got 1 less in the sideboard. We've got a couple of Run Afoul, because last time I played this deck, I noticed we were a little bit cold to flyers, which is another reason why we have the Atraxa as well. So we've got some more ways of interacting with things like a Marit Lage, buying ourselves some time, or just killing it outright. Then we've got tools you'd expect. So we've got Blood Moon, which we can power out quite early on. Because we're playing all these mana dorks and stuff, it's much better for us to run Blood Moon than it is to run Magus of the Moon, because our opponent's going to have removal against us. So having an enchantment is probably going to be more difficult for them to remove than the creature that is Magus of the Moon. We've got some Pyroblast because we're going to need to push through some spells in some rounds. And we've got some Meltdowns to really ruin people's days. And we've got a couple of Carpet Flowers. We're trying to cast big things. This will let us power them out. And we have 2 Endurance to try and hate on graveyards a little bit more. I feel that we might be a little bit stuck when it comes to some of the graveyard decks, to be honest. But like the really fast ones like Ouphe and Reanimator might just prove difficult for us to beat. But I think that's going to be the case however you build these sorts of decks for the most part. If you want to address that, you can play things like Mindbait Trap or Leyline or Fairy Macabre, stuff like that. Alright, before we jump in, like, comment, subscribe. These are things that you can do for free that help me out, and I really appreciate them. Obviously, sharing my content on places like Reddit helps too. And if you're interested in a donation deck, you can contact me via the Discord link in the description. And I'm currently doing £15 for a donation deck, so you can make me play whatever you want. So why not do that? We've also got a Patreon with various tiers with various benefits, so you can check that out in the description as well. Alright, let's play some Legacy. Okay, we're on the play. We don't really have the things we need here, do we? So this is a pretty obvious mulligan. This is the turn 2 Chaos Adventurer. I am going to do that. Simple. We'll keep this. I think we throw away the Endurance here, because we're not going to have a green card for it immediately anyway. And if things go wrong, I'd like to avoid that situation. So I think we'll play this one out, get a basic forest. So we're going to have a wasteland-proof line to Chaos Adventurer on turn 2. There's our forest. Here's our little Goblin Shaman. Our opponent's taking a time thinking about what we're doing here, which makes me believe they've got some sort of interaction. So we might need to find an additional piece of something. Thoughtseize would be pretty bad for us here, but we can just jam some guys and hope for the best. It only takes one of these sorts of guys to stick, and we're all good. Polluted Delta, that's certainly the Thoughtseize fetch land of choice these days, isn't it? So we could be looking at Doomsday or Death Shadow, but we'll see what land they get. It could just be like Delver and these just blue fetches. A basic island. A Ponder. So we could be looking at ninjas as well as another possibility. But ninjas would normally try and deploy a 0-drop or a 1-drop on turn 1. So I'm more expecting this to be Doomsday because of the island. But we'll see. Alright, we are on ninjas. Ninjas confirmed. Understood. Opponent's got a lot of cards in hand. Do you want to cast this Fable the Mirror Breaker, or do we want to just slap down this Chaos Adventurer? I think we came here to make the big boy. Let's do it. I'm guessing this is going to get Force of Willed. Oh wow, it didn't. That's pretty good news for us. They can take the initiative back using their Ornithopter by putting in a guy. But they do not win this race. If they got Snuff Out, that'd be quite useful for them though. The initiative decks tend to be pretty weak to ninjas, in my experience. Or rather, I've usually been on the ninja side in that situation. Because the ninja decks are very good at taking the initiative back, and they've got cheap or 0 cost spells that they can interact using. So things like Snuff Out, for example, and Force of Will are very good against initiative decks as a general rule. So if they have a Swamp here, they'll be able to snuff out our guy. Retrofitter's Foundry. Okay, so they're not deploying a ninja this turn. Which means they're not getting the initiative from us this turn. I suspect Snuff Out in such a large way, I think I'm going to go down the right-hand side here. Rather than put the cannons on here and just have them disappear. Endurance. I don't really want these cards. Let's have a look. A Minsc and Boo. That's a pretty good one, isn't it? I think we will play out this land so that we can play around a daze. We could just hardcast this Fury, but our opponent is going to make some guys here. So the plan here is Minsc and Boo. Let's pump the hamster. So they can trade one of these off using Retrofitter's Foundry. We seeing a Snuff Out? Not yet. So we want our opponent to pull the trigger on the Retrofitters, and then we can Fury away whatever remains of their board. I think they're more likely to get rid of the Ornithopter, which means the Fury can pick off a 4/4 and a Changing Outcast. So this gives us a free card off the top that we're probably not playing, but we'll see. Oh yes, they're going right into our trap here. A Progenitus on top of our library. Or in our exile zone. I'm glad we're not drawing that. They're just taking it. Wowzers trousers. Right, let's evoke this then. If this resolves, we can take out the construct or we can take out the Changing Outcast. We have to choose which one. Alright, they're just scooping to that one. Alright, we did the thing that we came here to do. So what is useful in this matchup? Fury is pretty good. Pyroblast is pretty good. Carpet Flower is pretty reasonable too. The Endurance is okay because it blocks some of their guys. It doesn't block all of them. So, what are we going to be stripping away here? The Collector Ouphe is pretty good, as is the Outland Liberator. So I don't think we want to get rid of those. So maybe it's the Endurances that go, bringing in the Fury and a Pyroblast. Our opponent's removal, trading it for our dorks isn't the worst. Progenitus is very hard for them to answer, so I don't hate having that one. Natural Order might be a little bit tricky to resolve though. So at present, this is what we're looking at. I think we would like another Pyroblast. If we're trimming on Natural Orders, we probably need to trim on one of these. Do I think the Atraxa is better, or do I think the Progenitus is better? Honestly, I think it might be the Progenitus here, because it's so hard for them to interact with, and it's also red for pitching to our 4 Furies. So this is what I'm going to go with here. Now there is options for bringing in Carpet Flowers over like the Birds of Paradise. I don't hate that, but our opponent can make it so the carpets only give us like 1 mana, which is basically the same as Birds of Paradise, but Birds of Paradise can block an Ornithopter. So I think I'm going to leave it as is. Submit these cards. This hand is a turn 2 Fable of Mirror Breaker. But we have as Progenitus that's pretty awkward in hand. I think I'm going to mulligan this. Try and get something. This isn't the one we want either. Let's mulligan again. Yeah, this is a turn 2 Natural Order. We'll keep this one. We don't need double City of Traitors, I don't think. And what is the other card we get rid of here? Is it the Pyroblast? Or is it a land? That's a tough call. Maybe it's the land. I don't really want to keep the Taiga though. Because... But then we're getting rid of red mana. Because I don't want to have our things be easily killed. Oh, we do have a lot of mana sources in our deck. Sure. I might regret this, but I'm going to get rid of the Taiga. We've got some draw steps to find some more lands. Let's see how we do. So the play patterns of this build is kind of interesting to me because we're looking to make a 1-drop on turn 1. So we're not just playing out a City of Traitors straight away. So we can operate quite effectively just on the 2 lands that we have. Whereas some of the other decks that are running Chalice and things, they play out their City of Traitors sometimes for a Chalice and they end up with disappearing land problems. So we do get to avoid that. Because our opponent could be a Wasteland deck, this has to be a Forest. Which makes the Pyroblast keep a little bit awkward, but at some point we're going to end up drawing another land. And we've got like 4 Tigers and 5 fetch lands. So I think 1 or 2 mountains. So the chances of us having a source to cast this Pyroblast is quite likely. But we have to decide when we're casting it in terms of our natural order. Interesting. Okay, so we have something to do with our Fury now. With our Pyroblast, sorry. You can pitch it to a Fury and stop our opponent from getting us. Don't hate that. Getting ourselves a basic forest for reasons mentioned earlier. We'll play this Birds of Paradise. And we will pass the turn. So next turn we can natural order. So what we're kind of hoping happens is our opponent plays like some guys. And we Fury them. And they don't like that, so they use their counter spell on our Fury. And then we natural order into Progenitus. And then they have a bad time. That is what the text on Progenitus says. Target opponent has a bad time. Another ponder from our opponent. A swamp. A changing outcast. I'm playing Ornithopter or something as well. A snuff out. Very sad. Okay, so drawn a Taiga. So I think we're going to hold up the Pyroblast. If they put in a guy off this, we can Pyroblast it because all the guys they put in are blue. And if they don't, then we don't need to use our Pyroblast. Alright, that wasn't a Wasteland. Good. We don't mind taking 1 damage if that's all that this is. It is just the 1 damage. Interesting. Alright. Are we just deploying this Undermountain Adventurer into a bunch of open mana? I don't think we are. I'm not sure why I want to play the City of Traitors either. So we're in a bit of a bind here. But we can just go for a few more draw steps here. We're not under a great deal of pressure. Just holding up the Pyroblast keeps us relatively open. Right, it feels like our opponent has a whole bunch of ways of interacting with our Undermountain Adventurer if we try it. Whereas we might be able to do it with a Pyroblast backup if we just wait a couple of turns. There's a Uriko. So part of the problem we might have here is if our opponent has another guy and we go to Pyroblast this. But I don't think it gets better than Pyroblasting this one, so let's see. Have they got the other one? And they can flip this one in as well. A Spell Stutter Sprite, sure. Don't see that every day. So they're going to hit us with a Uriko. They got any weird stuff that's going to come off the top? Emeralds. Ooh, and Genius Infiltrator is quite a lot of damage there. We do get to possibly do our Fury, but we need a red card. Okay, there's a red card. What's more important to me? Resolving our Undermountain Adventurer or this Fury? Maybe it's the Fury. Right, we'll jam the Undermountain Adventurer first. And see what responses gets from our opponent. Oh, we're just in. Interesting. We're going to get a Mountain. I think we do still have to Fury here, though. Did our opponent hold off for the days? They did not. Alright. So we now get to kill both of their guys. That was a bit of a haymaker turn for us. We can natural order if we want to, but I don't really think we need to, given the situation we're currently in. Like, even if they hit this with a snuff out, we're still going to have initiative because they can't hit us this turn. Is this going to be the 1/1 guy that we know about? We got Blink back to the hand earlier. There it is. So they got 3 mystery cards in hand. I haven't played a land drop yet. What we're looking at. Our opponent's definitely thinking about something. I think it must be an instant, the way that they've been going back and forth on it. They've got 2 mana instant, could be something like Drown in the Lock. So we're definitely... They could just be trying to game us so that we don't put counters on this. But I think we are still going down the Lost Well here. We would like a little bit more business. A Fury and a Collector Ouphe. We could cast the Fury right now and just get rid of their guy. I don't think we need the Collector Ouphe because they don't have any of that sort of stuff going right now. Question is, would I like to cast this Fury or would I like this natural? Undermountain Adventurer does tap for mana, so I think we'll leave this Fury on top. Good attacks. This is a fairy as well because it's got all creature types. This only makes green mana though. What are we looking at here? Down the Lock. A murderous cut. 3 cards in our opponent's hand. They haven't been countering our spells yet, so let's hope that continues. Keep their board clean so we can just keep going through the Undercity. Another Changing Outcast. This is unblockable, so it's very good at taking the initiative from us. We will need a little bit of assistance. We've got the stash coming in, so we can cast all of our 4-drops. Shoulder's Edict. Sure. The opponent's got 2 cards in hand. One of them is a blue card. But we are just jamming whatever we find here, I think. We will go to the stash, because I quite like the catacombs. If we can get this off the board. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Let's jam. So this also gives us a spooky skeleton now, which is pretty strong. It's not a green creature for our natural orders, unfortunately, but... And... there we go. So our opponent can attack us and put in this Ingenious Infiltrator. But they are taking a big hit on the crackback, and if we can get thrown the dead 3 from our opponent, it's going to be strong. They can't kill this using Snuff Out. We have 2 creatures, they need 2 removal spells. We know that they don't have 3 removal spells at least, because one of their cards is known to us. We can't block this. They will get the initiative here. Yep, they put in the guy. We draw a card, they get the initiative, so they get another card in the form of a basic land. But can they stop us hitting them back and taking the initiative? I think if we trigger the Throne of the Dead 3, our opponent will struggle to win the game. We could get Spicy Progenitus, perhaps. Who knows? Changing Outcast. Sure. That's the one that just got picked up. This can't block as well. It's unblockable and can't block. What we're looking at here. They got a bounce spell for this and a... yeah, they got a bounce spell and a 2 mana. Right, I think we're just attacking here. Let's see what we get off the top. Okay, we've got a Snuff Out here. They've got a bounce spell for the skeleton. An Ancient Tomb. Please let us connect with this. Alright, we connected. Let's go down the Throne of the Dead 3. The initiative is a very silly mechanic. We'll take this massive lad. We'll go back into the Undercity. We'll draw ourselves this forest. We'll play this free card that we got here. Play ourselves an Outland Liberator. Look at all this nonsense. It's daytime. We're in the Undercity. Alright. So we can block the Ingenious Infiltrator, but the Changing Outcast will be able to go through because it's unblockable, and this does draw them a card. So we're probably just getting hit for 1, and they get the initiative back, which can then forge up on their Changing Outcast. Which is okay. But they've got a lot of stuff to beat in terms of what's face up on the board right now. We can just natural order to put some counters on our Spooky Skeleton to make it lethal. So we can natural order the Outland Liberator away for another Undermountain Adventurer. Snuff Out's becoming a pretty risky proposition considering their life total as well. If they don't play anything, this becomes a 3-3. Okay, a Brainstorm. So we're not going to get a 3-3 Outland Liberator. So I'm more inclined to turn this into a natural order for something good. So if we go into the Undercity first, we forge up on our Spooky Skeleton. This is something that they can't kill with Snuff Outs. It requires 2 creatures to block, so it will be lethal on its own. This is also lethal on its own. We shall see. A Retrofitter's Foundry. Okay. I can make a 4-4 here. We can blow it up with our guy. A Fury. That's certainly one I'm interested in casting here. We can just get the initiative from them with our guys and then trap them by getting another guy. So that's also a plan. We could deploy the Fury here, but I don't think we need to. And we're just going to attack with our guys. Probably not the Outland Liberator though. So if we get the initiative back this way and we go and get another initiative guy, it pushes us into the trap room, which is the lethal room. Right, so they got a interesting... Why is this a 1-1 Thopter? They've sacked their guy. This should be a 4-4. That's weird. Is that a Modo bug? Like, they're definitely losing this game still, but that's weird, right? Why is this a 1-1? Don't know why the Outcast went away then. Alright. We won that one anyway, so let's go to round 2 and keep it rolling. This hand is not that exciting to me. I think it is fine. We'll keep it. We can just cast a turn 2 Endurance. Now, we do have 8 soul lands in our deck as well. Our opponent's mulligan to 5, which makes me more happy about keeping Endurance. It means it's more likely they're a graveyard-centric deck, because those are the faster decks that tend to mulligan most. Not always, but just as a rough rule. Dryad Arbor is green, so we can pitch it to Endurance. Okay, we might be looking at the initiative here. Thalia. Okay. We're not really casting non-creatures here. Obviously, we've just drawn a non-creature, but Let's have a Hierarch. So next turn we can jump this Thalia in combat using an Endurance. A Wasteland. I guess we're not doing that next turn. Alrighty then. Our opponent only has one card in hand, so we can take a bunch of damage off this without too much problem. City of Traitors. That doesn't really do what we need it to do right now. This seems like a reasonable turn to deploy the Dryad Arbor. And I think we might as well get in the 1 damage. Caracas. Okay, so the Minsc and Boo plan, not going to work very well here. Also, gobbling this up isn't going to be a very useful plan either. Minsc and Boo is kind of interesting. I think the play here is stick Undermountain Adventurer. They got 1 card in hand they're not casting. It's either a 4-drop or a good piece of removal. So are we supposed to hold back with Undermountain Adventurer? Maybe. I think we'll just pass the turn here and jam an Endurance. Force our opponent to commit a bunch of mana this way. That means they won't be able to immediately take back the initiative by attacking. It's pretty telegraphed what we have here. This also might get some removal out of our opponent. More likely they're just going to Caracas their guy away. Sure. We'll put a Taiga on the bottom of our library. I don't think our opponent's going to interact with this Wasteland in the graveyard. So just redeploying that. Sure. Natural Order. Do I think our opponent can beat Progenitus? I do not. Sacrifice our Dryad Arbor. Go and get Progenitus. So this is a 2-turn clock anyway, so don't really need to attack with our things here. We just bash with the Progenitus a couple of times. Alright. Just keep it up. So it looks like they're the sort of mono-white, the deck that I've played a few times on the channel that Perez made. And won 2 challenges with it, which is pretty impressive. So, what is good against our opponent's deck? Fury is pretty reasonable. The Endurances are fine. They gobble up some of the things our opponent's doing. But that's about it. Run Afoul. They tend not to have many of the actual flying guys, so I don't really think that's where I want to be. So, some combination of these 3 cards. Collector Ouphe can shut down some of their things, but it's not actually that exciting to me. Outland Liberator is definitely not where I want to be. Trim these 2, and we need 1 more cut if we want the other Endurance. Maybe just 3 Endurance is fine here. Further Breaker can be a little bit slow, but we've got so many big haymakers here. Sure. So if we need the lifelink, we can go get Atraxa. If we just want a big thing to end the game with, we can do that too. So this hand is a little bit slow. Now that we know what we're up against, I think we can mulligan to something better. This is better. We get to kill all their things. Do we want to keep the City of Traitors? I don't think we do. Could be risky. But we've got the Endurance to jam out. Okay, so this won't impact us at all for the way we're trying to play this game. We should be able to get some card advantage by... Well, maybe not card advantage, but we should be able to trade at least 2 for 2 with the Furies, possibly more. Let's see what they deploy here. An Urza Saga, sure. Esper Sentinel. Very exciting. They're going to come in for their 1 damage. That's fair enough. What do we have here? Let me jam this. And we'll represent a very obvious Endurance, which is fine by me. The Saga's ticking up. So it's got like Shadow Spear and stuff underneath it. We've managed to blank the Wasteland. Coming in with those guys. Let's jam this little lad into play. So this is 1, 2, 3. So our Endurance will be the bigger creature here. So I think we attack with our Endurance because of the Exalted. We deploy our Undermountain Adventurer here, which can go and get us a Making a Construct. Alright, this is incredibly good for us now because we get to ping away all of these with our Fury instead of just these 2, which is what I was going to do. Let's evoke this, pitch from this. Goodbye, enemy board. Not a bad turn, that one. Not a bad turn at all. Making themselves a 1-1 that becomes a 2-2. So this could be getting them mana. Yeah, okay. They're on the Chrome Mox. They have a Wasteland. They can take out a Taiga if they want. Just playing a Thalia. I don't really care about that one. We will forge onto our Vigilance creature. That seems like a strong play there. Play this land. Go to tax. Attack with our 6-7. So then we can do 1. So it's going to cost 2 for the green sun. So we can go and get a 3-3. Or we can tap our Undermountain Adventurer to get another Undermountain Adventurer. Which feels like a relatively strong line, I would say. So we go green, green. Max is currently 4. Let's do that. Let's go and get ourselves an Undermountain Adventurer. Pushes us into the trap. Put our opponent to 5. We got a huge board. Pretty rudimentary win. We got a bit lucky that our opponent mulliganed so hard in the first one. But when I played this deck that our opponent's playing, I found it was sometimes susceptible to hands like that. And, you know, sometimes things are going to line up badly. Like these Esper Sentinel as a Saga thing. They definitely should have had one more Saga token. They didn't need to make it when I made the Undermountain Adventurer. They just sort of gave us a thing because they were trying to save themselves time. But yeah, pretty good. Let's go on to the third round. So now we see part of an issue that our deck can face, in that our mana can sometimes be a little bit stretched. We're going to have to mulligan this one. Alright, this is better. We'll keep this. We'll throw back a city. So I think our opponent, last time I played them, was on Delver. That doesn't mean they are now. Underground Sea. That doesn't look very Delver-y to me. Let's hope they don't wasteland us. Go, Gadget, Dryad Arbor. So we have a turn 2 Undermountain Adventurer, or a turn 2 Natural Order. Which of these is going to be most effective? I don't know. I think I'd rather try the Undermountain Adventurer first, because if it gets countered, we haven't really lost anything. But if we have our Natural Order countered, we're losing one of our mana sources, and that's going to be a bit awkward. So we need to try and jam the Undermountain Adventurer. I think our opponent might be on Doomsday. Snuff Out. Okay, they're on Shadow. Alright. It's like Delver adjacent. What are we supposed to do here? I'm going to play this Ancient Tomb because I don't care if it gets wastelanded as much. If that's what our opponent spends their turn doing, I would rather they hit our Ancient Tomb than our Taiga. Him to Turret. This could be bad. Progenitus got shuffled back in. Not so bad. I would like to draw a mana source here. Alright. This means that we can cast Undermountain Adventurer around a daze. We in? Or we got 2 for 1 off of a Force of Will here. Oh wow, they're just straight up scooping to Undermountain Adventurer. Alright. I hate the initiative too, so I don't blame your opponent. So we're going to want Pyroblast here. If they are playing Death Shadow, Blood Moon is unbelievably good against them. So I'll take that. Endurances, Run Afoul, Carpet of Flowers. These are all things that I'm interested in potentially. Progenitus not so good against these decks because they can have ways of making you sacrifice creatures. Fury, not so good here either. So I think we'll just keep posing threats here. This is 66 cards. I think we can trim Hierarch and Birds to make way for some of these things. Looking at Run Afouls. I think Natural Order might be a little bit more challenging to counter, to push through. So these are replacing the 2 mana dorks. That's fine. Natural Orders, we have these game-ending Blood Moons. I think we probably can't afford to have 3 Endurances in this matchup. And maybe... Oh, Minsc and Boo is just so backbreaking to play against. I don't really want to trim one of those. Got too many good cards. What a horrible place to be, right? I think I would rather have Run Afouls. Rather Endurance than a Run Afoul. Because the Pyroblast hit the guy anyway, so you've got 4 answers to Murktide as well as Atraxa. What does our hand do? Pretty annoying stuff for our opponent, that's for sure. We'll keep this one. So we can go get Forest and play Carpet of Flowers. And then Green Sun Zenith on the same turn if our Carpet resolves. Alright, we don't even need to get the Forest now. We just play out our Forest in hand, so we get to dodge Stifle. Play Carpet Flowers. This is worth a counter spell a lot of the time. Alright, let's go to our second main phase. Let's make a green mana. Get Dryad Arbor. So next turn we can Chaos Adventurer. Or Blood Moon around days, potentially. We have a lot of options. Opponent did not cast anything on that turn. Interesting. Alright. Yes, I'd like to use Carpet Flowers. And I will make red mana here. Play this out. This does play into Hydroblast. But I think it's worth it. Force of Will, pitching Baleful Strix, sure. We'll go to attacks. Ouch. So next turn we can try a Blood Moon. It does kind of shut off our Carpet Flowers, which is a bit of a nombo. But Carpet Flowers is so good against Death Shadow decks because they have Wastelands, sometimes Stifles as well, so they'll really be attacking on mana. They can kill your mana dorks quite easily. They got like soft permission like Daze. Reanimate Arcades of Chaos Adventurer. That's a pretty good one. Alright. I'll see how it is, opponent. Bit rude. Quite like to draw Natural Order, I guess. Actually, no, Natural Order's no good with the Atraxa here, is it? Can we make Atraxa mana? No. We need another mana dork. Okay. Have some red mana. And we'll deploy... we'll play this, actually. Crack this for a forest. Then we're going to lose to our own guy here. Let's try Blood Moon. Right, so basically it's what we have in front of us versus our opponent's Caves of Chaos Adventurer, which is actually ours. So I imagine they're just going to forge and try and get the game over and done with before we can answer it. There's the first bit. Sure. So what are we looking for here? Minsc and Boo, Caves of Chaos Adventurer of our own. This Daze that we've got doesn't do anything. Another Blood Moon. That's not really the one, is it? This doesn't get us anything. Let me just jam in these things. Get attacks. Get ourselves the initiative here. Get Mountain. Our opponent cracks back and kills us. Because they go into the trap. Yeah, we're just dead to our own guy. Alright. Wasn't a big fan of that, truth be told. How are we going to address that problem? Don't think we realistically can. I think I want our mana dorks back in. Just as things that can take the initiative if they get it. But I don't really think I want to play Furies and things here. Being on the play is a bit of a boon for us. Not if we don't have any mana to start with, obviously. Not a huge fan of where this takes us. We got lots of good cards. But we will need some mana sources. Alright, I'm going to reluctantly keep this one, I think. And chuck back this Green Suns. Jam our Hierarch. So if we can draw a land next turn, we can drop Fable and Mirror Breaker, and that kind of fixes all of our problems. If it resolves, obviously. Grief. Sure. Are we just getting double griefed? They can take our Boo and our Fable, or they could take our Zenith and our Birds of Paradise to stop us getting more mana. I'm assuming that we're going to get reanimated on here. There's Snuff Out. Sure. So these... Oh, we drew a land. I don't hate that one. Birds of Paradise. Do we get the Dryad Arbor here? I think it is worth doing. So these Death Shadow decks sort of came about as a big thing with the Scam package because it was so good against initiative. So I'm not expecting to win this match. I'm going to take out our Taiga to stop us casting this Minsc and Boo they know we have in hand. Alright, no, they're just going to get their guy back. Sure. Goodbye, Minsc and Boo. They might take out our Taiga as well to make our draws worse. Yeah. Oh, they're taking out our Dryad Arbor. Alright. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. That's not quite there, is it? Alright. Underground Sea. Sure, we'll take some damage from this Grief. I got Ponder, not a bad follow-up. I got Shuffle on this. We do need to find a land here. I did not shuffle. Okay, that's terrible news for us. Yep. Pretty bad. Alright, again, we just need a land. Alright, we're taking our hit there. Prince got another land. Did we get Murktided here? No. Did not draw a land. Okay. Struggling a little bit here. 4 more turns of getting hit by a Grief. A Taiga. Do I think this is going to resolve? No. Do we have the time to play around it not resolving? No. This is just what we're doing. Yep, there's the Hydroblast. Sure. Part of the problem is when we play one of our guys, it means that our opponent gets to get the initiative back because their creature's got Menace. So we're just in trouble. Alright. Maybe they're Brainstorm locked for a couple of turns. And we can get ourselves out of this pickle. I don't mind seeing another one of these. Now, if our opponent's just got grip full of counter spells, we're going to lose. Alright? So our opponent is Hellbent. They know the 2 cards on top of their library. These initiative guys are a little bit dangerous for us to cast. A Natural Order. That doesn't do it. Okay, so we need one more draw that can deal with a Grief. I don't think we have one. I think we are just dead here. Yeah, maybe we should have kept some Furies in for situations like this. But the problem is, Fury is something that we automatically put in our graveyard and let our opponent cast. Okay. Is there anything we can do to stop a Grief off of 2 mana here? I don't believe so, but it doesn't hurt us to have a look at the top card of our library. Sure, we're done. Yeah, so the Death Shadow matchup, especially the Scam Baleful Strix build, like our opponent's got here, is designed, well, originally was designed to beat the initiative. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're a little bit more robust than the old initiative decks used to be because we have a bunch of mana dorks, so we can play around Wasteland a lot better than those decks can. However, when the Death Shadow deck just gets ahead of you and has the cards to keep the tempo on, it's just pretty much unbeatable, which is what's happened there. I don't feel bad about that one. Let's go on to round 4. This is all lands. I think we're going to mulligan this one. This hand is a lot better. We have some choices here. I think we want to keep our mana sources. These are probably binning off the Green Sun here. Green Sun could be an interesting bridge if this goes wrong, but I think we just want to keep maximum things to overload our opponent with. Right, Flooded Strand into a basic island and a ponder. So my immediate thoughts is that our opponent's playing some kind of blue-white shark tail type deck, but they could be playing Omnitail or Sneak and Shows, all sorts of things. They did not shuffle their library from ponder, which makes me a little bit sad. Alright, so we can play this out. Jam our little Hierarch. Next turn we can choose between the Boo and the Undermountain Adventurer depending on what we think our opponent is up to. Prismatic Vista. Okay, so we're definitely more towards the grindy control deck, I would say. Could be Sneak and Show, but I doubt it. I think what we're supposed to do here is play the Endurance. I don't think we're playing around Daze, but we could be playing around Counterspell here, or Dress Down. So I think I'm just going to play out this Wooded Foothills and pass the turn. And just get ourselves a threat to start working away with. And then as our opponent tries to answer it, we can mess with them a bit more. So I'm expecting to see things like Staff the Storyteller out of our opponent. Okay. Volcanic Island. Let's go for an end of turn threat. I think I would like a Taiga here. Let's see how they feel about this Endurance. A Force of Will pitching Spell Pierce. I think we'll jam the Endurance, the Initiative guy. Because Minsc and Boo can get hit by a Force of Negation. Now they can dress down us here, which is annoying, but we still have a threat. A Hull Breacher. Alright, our opponent is doing different things to what I thought they might be doing. Right, let's go and get ourselves a land. I think we want a mountain here. And then I think we are supposed to pitch cast this so we don't get Hull Breachered out of the game. Not a big fan of that. But sometimes you've got to do what you got to do, right? Next turn we can try and reload with an Atraxa. But we already have the initiative. And our opponent doesn't have a creature to take it. Alright, we're looking at some sort of hot bant type deck. With a lot of basics. Uro, yeah, keep it coming. Are they going to bounce their own Uro here? They're a long ways off casting this. Alright, they decided not to. I think we all lost well here. We just want to keep deploying threats. So we'll put this on the bottom of our library, put this on the top. So this will keep their Caracas tapped down. So I think we'll play this one out. Probably should have put this to the bottom, to be honest. But the opponent does have the Caracas right there. So we'll put some counters on this, and they'll bounce it with the Caracas. Yep. And we'll attack with our 4-power guy. This means that our opponent has to deal with this using their Caracas every turn. They can't just Supreme Verdict us out of the game until they get another white source. And if we get to find a Caves of Chaos Adventure, we can put some counters on it. I do think I was probably supposed to put this on the bottom though. Right, there's the Uro again. Or a different Uro in fact. A Brainstorming Response to make sure they can drop an additional land here. We do get to a situation where we can just dome our opponent with the Minsc and Boo soon. Prismatic Ending on our Ignoble Hierarch. Sure. That makes the natural order in our hand a lot worse. We'll go down the stash route. We will make a little hamster. A Wooded Foothills. Alright. Put some counters on this guy. So we can use this to go and get the Dryad Arbor, and then we can natural order it away. Sure. Attacks. Cast this. Green, green, and 2. And we'll sacrifice this. So we have a choice here. We can either go and get an Endurance and just say no to these Euros forever. Or we can go and get a Progenitus which dies to Supreme Verdict, but dodges the Caracas. Or we can get an Atraxa which kind of overloads their thing for a turn. Honestly, I think I'm supposed to get the Endurance here and just say no to Euros. Because that's like the best thing our opponent can do at this point, I think. So we have 2 threats. Supreme Verdict here is annoying, but we are just building towards Throne of the Dead 3. So I think the way we stop our opponent from winning, from like turning the corner, rather than just trying to field a big thing, if that makes sense. So you've got a lot of inevitability just because of the Undercity right now. Like once the Throne of the Dead 3 pops, we can probably just minus the Boo and kill our opponent. Swords to Plowshares on our Undermountain Adventurer. Sure. Our opponent has 1 card in hand. This is a Prismatic Ending on our guy. Sure. So we're about to get a Spooky Skeleton. 1 times Spooky Skeleton. Yes, I would like to use that ability. Let's put some counters on this guy. We're just storing up counters on our boost so we can do multiple minuses if we need to. Go to attacks. And let me pass a 10. So this is a 3-turn clock on its own. Sylvan Library is a pretty good one. But we do get to go into Throne of the Dead 3 now. Chaos of Chaos Adventurer is a pretty nice one. Let's do that. And get a land out of our deck before we go to our draw step. And we'll get our little friend. I guess we put them on the Chaos of Chaos Adventurer here. So you can bounce the boo. Tap this for 5. Our opponent is very dead next turn. So we can just sacrifice this. We don't even have to use combat to win the game next turn. Let's see how good their Sylvan Library is. Not good enough. Excellent. Initiative, still a silly card after all these years. After all these, not even years. It feels like it's been years though, right? So, Endurance to stop the Uro is something I don't mind here. Carpet of Flowers is going to be useful. The Pyroblast are going to be useful. They showed us a lot of basics in that game, so I don't think we want the Blood Moon type stuff. So we're looking at these kind of things here. I don't think we're going to be using Collector Ouphes or Outland Liberators here. I think we can probably trim a couple of dorks for the carpets. That makes sense. The Natural Order feels a little bit riskier here, so we'll trim 2 of those, and that gets us the 2 Endurances. And then we just need to trim 1 more card. Would I rather have a Progenitus or an Atraxa? Progenitus dodges removal, but Atraxa is something we can realistically get off of the Green Sun Zenith sometimes. I guess the Fury is probably what go here, right? We don't need this many Furies. Like it can be awkward if we draw both of these is the thing. Do you want to go up to 3 Natural Order though? I don't think so. I'd rather have a Fury or a Natural Order. Actually, we've seen the Hull Breaches, so I'd like to keep the 2 Furies and thinking about it. We don't have any starting mana really here, so we need to mulligan. Same problem. I think I'll keep this one. I guess we'll pitch this Fury and one of the Undermountain Adventurers. We just need the mana and an emergency so that we don't die against Uro. I quite like an Endurance. This gives us a potential turn 2 play as well. These hot band decks like to run Wastelands, which is ridiculous. But they have them, so I think we are just going to be playing out our Ignoble Hierarch here. Come on, little friend. No mental misstep, or not misstep, minor misstep, that's the one. A Flooded Strand. A Ponder. They did not shuffle their library. Less than ideal for us, but here we are. Alright, this would be a very nice card to resolve. Oh wait, we can't even resolve it, we haven't got the mana, what am I talking about? This turn we are playing out our Birds of Paradise. Now I'm going to hold up a Pyroblast. Carpet of Flowers. Can I please have Carpet of Flowers? I will Pyroblast this. Any counter spell they play here. This fixes a lot of the problems that we are currently facing. This can be Prismatic Endinged, but it very much demands an answer. Because it's just going to snowball out of control as this game goes on. Alright. Here is a Force of Will. Let's counter that spell. A spell Pierce. Sure. So we traded 3 for 2 there. And we can attack for 1. We're going to play the Fairy and block, use it as a removal spell. No, okay, they were just fetching away because they knew the top cards of the library from the Ponder. Please don't kill all my creatures. Yay! They didn't kill all my creatures. Alright, we just have to keep trying to cast spells here. This is a good one. We get treasure, and we also get to loot away. Oh, we're in. Excellent. Okay, this game is turning around a little bit. Now, they can wrath us here. That's pretty annoying. I say pretty annoying. It's devastating, but... Alright, this is potentially pretty dangerous for us. We're going to get Wheeled here. Days Undoing. Plowing our little guy. Kind of getting vibes like we're about to get Days Undoing here. I did not want my day undone. Yep, that's the one, isn't it? Oakley dokley. We can discard some cards if we want to here. But we will have some trouble with this old Hull Breacher if we do that. So let's not do that. Our opponent should be able to win this game from this point onwards. But quite often these Hull Breachery decks are very bad at actually winning the game. So we will get some time back on our clock. Sure. That's awkward. There's a Tundra. Minsc. Sure. That's actually a way of winning the game pretty quickly. We're just going to F6 through the turns so we can get a bit of time back on our clock, so our timers are a bit more equal, because they're a minute. They've got a minute more on their clock than I have. And this matchup can be kind of grindy. Right. What's our opponent up to over there? Can I have carpet, please? Yep, our opponent's going through some motions instead of just killing us, so I'll certainly take that time back. Our opponent's going to finish this with less time on their clock than we have. Not really how I like to play Magic, but I'll take it. Alright, so they're going to dome us for 4 and draw 4 cards. Oh no, they're going to kill our little guy, sure. They're going for the destroy all your permanents plan. There's an Uro. They're going to put it into play right now as well. They can kill us next turn. Yep, so there's the Uro. Okay, we've now got a minute more on our clock than our opponents, so I'm happy to concede there. Let's have a think about our sideboard. Do we want things like Fury to stop the opposing Minsc and Booze, as well as being pretty good against stopping the... Well, it's not that good against stopping the guy, right? Because the problem is they get to play at flash speed. I think I just like what we've got going on here. I think we'll just leverage the fact that we're on the play, so it makes our deck a little bit better. We did get a bit jammed up with mana there as well. This is not a turn 2 Chaos Adventurer, but does it have to be one anyway? I think we can keep this. These are just two things I'd very much like to put into play. This isn't necessarily a super speedy game anyway. So we could play the Green Sun Zenith now, just to make sure that we are queued up for if we draw anything good next turn, like a 4-drop. I don't hate that as a strategy. We've got a bunch of 4-drops we could cast. The Undermountain Adventurers, and I don't really want to cast a natural order on this board though, so I guess it's just the Undermountain lads, or something exactly like this. I think I can afford... I get a mountain here. These hotband decks can play Wastelands, and I don't want to get caught out by that. Fable, is this going to be a Spell Pierce? It is a Spell Pierce, sure. So we're just going to keep dropping these Chaos Adventurers on our opponent's head until we win the game. That's our current strategy. And endurance. Can I have this big lad? We can have a big lad. We've got one more basic in our deck to fetch. They're probably killing this. Oh, they're just stifling its enter the battlefield trigger. Sure. It's still a 5-3. That's not nothing. And it does sort of have pseudo card draw attached to it. There's a Ponder from our opponents. So yeah, they spent a stifle just to stop us getting into the Undercity. But then they have to then spend another card just to deal with the fact that we have a Chaos Adventurer. Played an island. You can get plowed. Dress Down is a much better answer because at least it cantrips. Stifle is just not a very good card a lot of the time. I can go attacks here. Attack just this guy is fine. So we get the trigger. A Wooded Foothills, sure. We'll play this Wooded Foothills. Do you want to play another Chaos Adventurer? I don't think we need to. I think we can just hold up for this endurance if we want to apply another threat. But if our opponent taps out and we can deploy a Chaos Adventurer, that would be pretty good for us. So they do like Supreme Verdict here. Honestly, we're fine here. We don't need to do anything. Just keep attacking with our big guy. Got a remove spell this time? I guess not. And Atraxa. Can't cast that one. I think I'll play out one of our City of Traitors here. So we have lethal damage that our opponent doesn't know about because we can flash in the endurance next turn. A Hull Breacher. Not one I'm a massive fan of. They know about Pyroblast in our deck, so... Are they just going to go for it here? Or is this just a blocker when the time comes? Feels like a Containment Priest. Sure. We're getting Days Undone here. Alright, we'll play our threats. Doesn't really matter, everything's getting shuffled in anyway. So we basically only lose one card here, but our opponent does get a bunch of treasures and a whole new grip. So, what are we attacking with here? They can trade the Hull Breacher for the Chaos Adventurer. They can double block this and only lose one thing. Okay, they have a plow for that. That's pretty annoying. Double block here. Let's cast our carpet for next turn. We don't know if we're going to keep our cards in hand or what. Let's see what our opponent's up to. Whole bunch of treasures. The old 4-colour many basics deck. Ah, I thought... Oh, okay. It's just Prismatic Ending. Hope they don't play the good card in their deck. Oh, here it comes. Oh no. Minsc is basically the thing I'm worried about in their deck. Because whilst they're sort of durdling around with all these sorts of bits and pieces, it's not that bad. Like, yes, they've just drawn 7. That's pretty annoying. but they usually give you plenty of time to draw back into the game unless they draw their Minsc, which is why they've splashed red entirely. I guess they've also probably got prismatic endings and meltdowns. Well, they got prismatic endings that they can cast more colours, but I meant Pyroblast. Right, so probably getting attacked for 5 here, that's fine. We get to attack our opponent back for 1, but they have another Hull Breacher, and that can be problematic for us. Oh, that's quite nice. Yes, let's use this. Let's make a bunch of green mana. Is this going to resolve? I doubt it. If it does, though. If this resolves, our opponent is dead on board without having... They have to have something else here. Or they die. This is like a hard cast Force of Will. There it is. So now we get to attack with our 1/1. Put our opponent to 4. We've got 3 more Minsc to draw. What have they got here? They're really ploughing that. Weird. Very strange choice. Unless they've got another Days Undoing. Then that makes perfect sense. Right, they're cracking Prismatic Vista. And we got Brainstorm. An Uro, okay. They found a good card finally. This can win the game pretty sharpish. Inserts their life total against Minsc and Boo as well. Alright, I feel this game is mostly out of reach now. Not a big fan of losing to this one, to be honest, but sometimes it happens. Alright, Fable the Mirror Breaker, not great. It's a thing though, so we'll play it. Like, we do still have Fury, so we could play a Fury and copy it soon, maybe. And wipe the Euro. Right, maybe we're not going to wipe the Euro, we're just going to reset it. But, oh dear. It's going to take a lot to win this one. Minsc and Boo helps, but this Euro is just going to put things away over the course of a few turns. I might just take one more draw step and see. I guess we're pretty close to dead on board anyway, so I'll trade my Goblin with a Hull Breacher here, given the choice. Like, we're pretty much in Progenitus to win the game territory, but we'll also have to get through this Containment Priest first. I got another Hull Breacher. Right, we're dead. Yeah, so generally speaking, I don't think these Hull Breacher decks are that good a spot. I don't think they're necessarily intrinsically very strong, but sometimes they can windmill you out of the game like they did here, where they just had the turn, was it turn 3, Hull Breacher, turn 4, wheel you out of the game, or it might have been turn 4 and 5 respectively, but that was kind of irritating for sure that we had all that mana open, and they still went for it in the face of the Pyroblast that they knew about, which is a bit unfortunate. If we'd had one, this game would have been very different. I think we just win that one. They also had a Stifle that was really clutch, but Stifle is a very bad card, generally speaking, especially in sort of control decks where they can't afford to 0 for 1 themselves like that. But yeah, fair play to our opponent. They beat us fair and square. The cards can line up nicely in this deck and get you. Okay, let's go to the final round with 2 and 2 now. We have a turn 2 Minsc and Boo, which is what our deck is supposed to do. We're going to keep this. Ancient Tomb, no Chalice. Okay, that's good. Let's play an Ignoble Hierarch. I'm sorry, what? Interplanar Beacon. Whenever you cast a Planeswalker spell, you gain 1 life. Add 2 mana of different colours to cast a Planeswalker. Okay. Weird. It's a new one to me. Alright, they're bouncing our little lad. Alright, we'll play out our Wooded Foothills. And Ignoble Hierarch. We'll probably get ourselves a Dryad Arbor. Some sort of Planeswalker deck is what our opponent must be on. Ancient Tomb into Teferi. Not a curve you see particularly often. Khan the Great Creator. Okay. Let's see what they get off this. A Lotus Petal. Okay. Our opponent hasn't shown us any 1 mana-y, counter-y spell stuff, so I don't... But if we do this off an Ancient Tomb, we can kind of get 2 things going at once here. So we can pressure both Planeswalkers in one go. Yes, let me have my Boo. Make Boo bigger. Go to attacks. This will attack Khan. This will attack Teferi. Okay. What next, opponent? Which Planeswalker are we going to see materialize now? There's the Lotus Petal we know about. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Sure. A Gemstone Caverns. A Trinisphere. Okay, I don't really care about those things. Minsc and Boo is just the entire game on the board right now. So, no, we will not use ability. A Fury. Sure, I guess we can hardcast our Fury. So, red. 1, 2, 3. 2 on this, 2 on this. Alright, they're scooping. We're going to blow up both their permanents, bash them for 7, 8 this turn, and then they'll be dead on the following turn. So our opponent is some kind of like prison planeswalker-y type deck. I get the impression that Blood Moon is going to be good here. I had all sorts of like nonsensey stuff going on, so it seems good. Fury pretty good at hitting planeswalkers, so I wouldn't mind this. They haven't shown us. They've shown us Karn actually, so I think we probably do want the Collector Ouphe and maybe the Outland Liberator still. How useful is our natural order strategy here? It's probably decent. I don't think we need the endurances. Looking at 2 cuts here. How good is Fable going to be? I guess we're replacing it with Blood Moon in a lot of ways, so I guess this is okay. Mana Dork's very good in the face of Trinisphere, whereas if you're on the other... I didn't really want this Progenitus. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, whereas if you're on the other builds that have got like Lotus Petals and stuff, that's less good. I think we'll throw back one of the boos. So we can get Forest and play on Ignoble Hierarch. You see Chalice here? We are going to see a Chalice, sure. Have a Forest anyway, so I think we'll go and get ourselves a Dryad Arbor. That way if our opponent plays a Teferi and just wants to draw a card, we can attack it. It just gives us a way of pressuring planeswalkers. Ancient Tomb, Interplanar Beacon. Black, blue. Ashiok, Dream Render. This one mills 4, then exiles them and stops us from searching. Oh. Yeah, this is the one that stops us from searching. We just passed through, so we've just given up our Wooded Foothills there. That was a huge punt from us there. I just pressed the button to... Alright. I'm probably going to lose because of that, I'd imagine. No Trinisphere. Sure. Next turn we can do the Outland Liberator. We're a turn behind because we didn't get a Dryad Arbor in response to Ashiok. And that's going to come back to haunt us, I suspect. City of Traitors. Sure. The colourless Planeswalker deck. I don't know how they operate without Interplanar Beacon, if I'm being perfectly honest here. But, certainly interesting. Something a bit different, which is always nice to see. Let's cast our guy. They can zap us with a Teferi if they want. There it goes. Sure. I think we've probably lost this game. But we can see some more of the things our opponent's got and see if it makes us want to change what we're doing. So if I was seeing a lot of blue planeswalkers, so the Pyroblast is kind of interesting. There's another one. Okay. Amusingly, I think if we draw a land here, we'd probably win the game. Because I think Minsc and Boo will just beat what our opponent's doing. City of Brass. Okay. Can we draw a land? We did not draw a land. We can't deploy any of our things because we punted really early on in this game. And every turn that the Teferi gets to stick around, we fall further behind. Because that's a very powerful Magic the Gathering card. I see another Planeswalker. Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Sure. What does this do? You gain an emblem. Whenever you cast a spell that targets one of my permanents, gain control of those permanents. I don't know how many spells they got that actually target other permanent. Another thing we can't... Imagine if we'd have actually fetched our Dryad Arbor like we were supposed to. In the face of that Ashiok. What a horrible mistake that was. I think we would have won this game by now if we had done that. Yep, they got a lot of card advantage here. Mox Diamonds, Lotus Petals. Alright. I'm liking Collector Ouphe, Blood Moon for game 3 here. Alright. I think I'm happy to scoop to that one. Yeah, our punt there was pretty savage. Do you want to change anything here? They do have a lot of things that Pyroblast hits, but they are playing Chalice. I think we've already got these kind of covered here for what we want. Maybe Meltdowns instead of Fables as an option. If they're going to be relying on a load of Moxes and stuff. I do think we're probably just better off just Green Sun Zenithing things. Yeah, we'll just throw it back like this. I think just the intrinsic power level of our deck is probably more than what our opponent's doing because they're doing some sort of fun Planeswalker type thing, whereas we're just playing horrible initiative guys and ruining people's day. Being on the play means we get above Chalice quite nicely as well. Now we know about Ashiok, we're more inclined to fetch early on. Okay, we have a turn 2 Minsc and Boo, we'll keep this. Our opponent hasn't shown us anything like counter spells, so we'll just do that. Our opponent's mulligan to 6. They've mulligan to 5. I think there's a problem with mana in their deck potentially because they're trying to cast lots of different 2-coloured spells in their Ancient Tomb deck. Birds of Paradise. If they kill this, we don't get to play Fable Mirror Breaker on 2. Because we've gone for the basic land here. Maybe that was an error. Ancient Tomb. You're going to just deploy a Chalice. That'd be fine by me. I'd rather you had one less card in hand. Alright, no Chalice. Just going to get our... Basic? Do we need a basic? I don't think we need a basic here, do we? Let's play this Fable Mirror Breaker out. Maybe we're supposed to play the Minsc and Boo there. But I just like having multiple ways of pressuring Planeswalkers. So if we play the Minsc and Boo next turn, then we have the ability to pressure 2 Planeswalkers. Or, you know, have 2 things that are pressuring Planeswalkers. Maybe that's a bit cautious from me. Also, I wanted to get my fetch lands out of the way as soon as I could. Okay, so we got this Karn. Where's it going to find them? Is it going to be a Lotus Petal again? Sorcerer's Spyglass. Okay. Discard some cards here. How many would we like to discard? And we're getting rid of this Wooded Foothills. I think I'll get rid of the Ignoble Hierarch here as well. I didn't really want all of those cards, to be honest. So we're going to play this now so that we can take out their guy. Make our Boo big. Go to attacks. This attacks Karn. This attacks our opponent. This gives us another mana. And then next turn we can do Fury and copy it. Or we can do Undermountain Adventurer and copy it. And we're pretty close to casting Atraxa, right? So we need 3 treasures to cast Atraxa. Or 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we can just cast Atraxa next turn. That's not really a thing that our deck's supposed to do. Now, they can play a Sorcerer's Spyglass here on Minsc and Boo. But the damage is already done. We've got 4/4 coming at them every turn. Like, yes, it won't grow and we won't be able to throw things at them. But how are they going to be able to beat that? Especially with Fable coming along soon as well. I think we're in a favourable position here. There's the Spyglass. They're also taking damage from their Ancient Tomb every turn. But I guess we're also in a situation where they can't ignore the Minsc and Boo either. So take 2 for this Sorcerer's Spyglass, but it saves them 1 point of damage. Alright, they're just scooping it up. So we've got a 3-2 there. Pretty fine result for the deck, I guess. We did get jammed up in a couple of rounds. We got mana screwed and stuff. But let's talk about deck. So fundamentally, I think this deck is pretty potent. We did lose for getting jammed up with mana a couple of times. And that could have changed the outcome of this league in quite a positive fashion. But I think the core of everything we're doing here is pretty much where I want to be. I don't know if we can trim for another land. I don't know if we want to trim for another land is another point. I think the 3 Furies is quite nice as just main deck interaction. I'm not sure we need Progenitus and Atraxa here. But like, it does give us some bad draws in our deck. Now, we have Birds of Paradise and Ignoble Hierarch, and we get treasures off of Fable the Mirror Breaker, so it's certainly possible to cast the Atraxa. And with Progenitus, it pitches to Fury and Endurance, and we can throw it away with the Fable, and it just goes right back in our deck. So I do like the Progenitus a lot more. We didn't get the Atraxa once today, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. I'm glad we're not playing Blood Boil Sorcerer. I think that card is just bad. I think 4 mana 3/3s just don't cut it. Whereas a 4 mana 3/4 Vigilance mana guy is so much better. Not that people are running the Sorcerer over the Adventurer, but I think you want to just run your good cards instead of running lots of things that do the same thing. Now, I understand that you want some redundancy so that you can more reliably get the initiative, but I think it's better just to play good cards. And that's what this deck does. I think the Mana Dorks plan is quite an interesting one. It does allow you to sometimes take back the initiative in other ways. So if your opponent is killing your initiative guy, at least you can chump block and hold the initiative a lot more easily than you can in builds with like Spirit Guide plus Petals to cast your guys. Now, we don't ever get to live the dream of the turn 1 initiative guy, right? That's the absolute dream. It doesn't come up that often in initiative, to be fair. And you have to kind of skew your entire deck to make that thing that you can do. We're just playing good old-fashioned good spells that can make turn 2 4 drops, which I'm personally a fan of. I think if I were to play this again, I might be tempted to cut the Atraxa. Like last time I played this, we had 2 Progenitus. I do think you want 2 guys, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe we want like a 6 drop. like a good 6 or a 5 drop that has some like really interesting text that we could do. We could also play the Bane of Progress in the sideboard as a thing we can natural lure for and just blow up all the artifacts. And because we are a non-artifact deck, we can really lean into the stuff that hurts artifacts. We've got main deck Collector Ouphe, for example, which is pretty tasty. And we get to run Meltdown in the sideboard as well. I think the Run Afouls maybe could be more Pyroblast, but Marit Lage is something we need to contend with. And Blood Moon might not be good enough in some situations, especially if they rush it out. Sometimes Blood Moon is just an enabler for those decks. Maybe we do need the Run Afouls. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think this deck is good. If I had a bit more time to keep jamming this deck, I would probably keep doing that and fine-tune it and work out what the optimal build is, because I think this is a deck that could be a real player in the meta, because it's just full of good cards, and it does get around a lot of the weaknesses that the red-green initiative decks that's kind of appeared for a while then disappeared because they weren't that good. This kind of plugs those weaknesses nicely and just gives you so many I win buttons. Like Minsc and Boo is often you win the game. Natural Order is you win the game pretty much all the time it resolves. Both of these initiative guys do a pretty good job of winning the game as well. But then we've got things like Fable that really need to be respected. We've got good removal in Fury. Maybe we just want another Fury instead of the Atraxa and just have the 4 Fury. Certainly get behind that. That's some nice interaction. Maybe we need more combo stuff, because at the moment the way we beat combo is trying to race them or try and get a Collector Ouphe online as soon as possible, usually turn 2, I guess, off of Green Sun Zenith, to try and shut down the artifact mana. And we have a little bit of endurance action that we can do with graveyard decks, so maybe we want more stuff like that. I'm not sure. But I think the core of this deck is very strong and it doesn't need a lot of tweaking. So why not try it? Let me know how you get on with it. And drop me a comment if you try it. I'd like to see how other people fare with this one and what little tweaks you make and things. I'm not really a fan of initiative existing, but we're not playing the bad initiative cards like Blood Bowl Sorcerer, so it does feel like we're just playing a good deck that happens to have some initiative stuff in instead of an initiative deck. That's what I'm telling myself, at least, right? Okay, I don't think I've got much more to say about this one. Deck feels good. I think we could have come away with a 4-1 or a 5-0 with slightly different breaks there, but that's magic for you. Hope you enjoyed this one. Check out the Patreon, like, comment, subscribe, do all these things. Contact me on Discord to do a donation deck. That'd be lovely. Yeah, thanks for watching and goodbye.